Over will perform. Because if this is the Reignover that we've seen in the past, playing like he did on Fnatic, playing like he did on Immortals, then this is a championship caliber team. But if this is the Reignover we saw last year from Liquid, well, they could have some struggles.
And I think we can aim a similar question marks at Licorice, of course, another LCS rookie here for the season. But we are into champ select as Shen and Vladimir get banned away. Arguably two top lane champions, although there is some flexibility. The Licorice maybe already taken some heat. And then two ADs, Dixie getting a target there. Ezreal and Kalista both taken away by Cloud9.
Yeah, pretty interesting. The Shen obviously could be support, could be top. Vladimir has been played mostly top lane, but still can be mid lane, or at least looked at in that way. So certainly some flexibility kind of taken away there from their opponents. And if you are looking to perhaps play something that you feel like is a bad matchup into that, we have seen Vladimir even pick into things like GP with early Ignite and Spellbook to really put some pressure on there. So maybe Darshan is looking for something like that. Because speaking of top laners, Darshan is another guy who is not afraid to play some of these more unconventional picks, to play his own style, to look for these kind of split push type builds and champions, and we'll see if he's going to be one trying to take advantage of Licorice.
Well, it's going to be on this time around. The first pick there overall for CLG, Kog'Maw and Zoe round out the last two bans, and now C9, it's their turn to take two picks.
Certainly expecting that to be going top for Darshan, but it could be the support for Biofrost as well. This is one of those things where you can open your opponent up to kind of get mind gamed a little bit. We have the instant GP pick here for Licorice to really kind of respond to that Ornn. Playing Klepto against the Ornn, you can kind of just farm off of him, play a relatively safe lane, try to get a ton of gold and really outscale your opponent, have more effectiveness later on. But they could, if they feel like this is too bad of a matchup, or that Darshan could really counterpick in another way, flex that Ornn to support, still look for something else in the top lane.
Certainly could. I do love though that Licorice kind of just throwing the gauntlet down. Is like, all right, first game in the LCS, bring it on. I'm going to play this fat carry there in the top lane. I also love the Brawn for Smoothie against Ornn in particular. Really takes a lot of the teeth out of his team fight.
It really does. I mean, you're able to block the ultimate basically every single time. It is extremely powerful, and the Taric getting locked in means it will be that top lane Ornn, so that matchup all but secured. Taric is something that I think is gaining a fair bit of popularity. If the games are going to be slower, if the games are going to be going to the teamfight stage, Taric has a monstrous amount of power with the AoE and vulnerability from his ultimate, with the healing, the Bastion, the stuns coming from that as well. Can be extremely strong when you link up with a strong frontlaner like Ornn.
Yep, head with Varus, of course, in the 2v2 lane. Stixxay taking a slightly more aggressive marksman there in the bot lane, and C9 respond by securing an AD for themselves. After 3 were banned and 1 were picked, they decide on Tristana, and now in phase 2, Jungle is going to get a target there. Kha'Zix's taken away from Reignover.
And Kha'Zix's not really something that I super think of as a Reignover champion. He did obviously play it, and he has played it in the past, but Reignover has always had his most success, in my opinion, on tanks. He has been at his best when he's controlling the pace of the game, when he is out farming his opponents, out thinking his opponents, moving around the map very well on tanks. Something like a Sejuani, to me, fits so well for his playstyle, and it's going to be interesting to see how Reignover will play, because there's been a lot of talk about how the new meta will fit in. With catch-up experience mostly gone, or at least not as strong as it was before, you can get and maintain large experience and advantages. And that's one of the ways that Reignover always kind of pulled out these edges over the opposing junglers, was by more intelligent pathing, was by getting those edges and never really letting go.
Well, actually a Jarvan ban for C9, as Evelyn going to join the jungle ban pool for CLG, and also banning Cassio. I'm trying to think of what pick you're protecting by banning away Cassio. Maybe something like a Rise.
Yeah.
But if C9 want it, they can of course take it away here.
Yeah, you certainly can just grab up the Rise if you are feeling that is a pretty powerful pick. Sejuani, I think, is a very smart pick here, not only because it gives you another tank. You don't really have a true tank in the Braum, but also because of the fact that it is a very intelligent pick for Reignover, right? We had just mentioned that, so you can kind of look at it like a double pick there, almost a takeaway plus a good select for yourselves. So already I'm really liking the Cloud9 lineup here. We're going to have to see how C9 is going to round out their composition, but Rengar coming in can also work quite well with the initiation of the Ornn when paired up with the Bastion and the Taric ultimate, because you can give Rengar the immunity as he is flying in, and if you are going to go for that full assassin Rengar, that can be quite powerful. But Still, Reignover is much more known for the tank Rengar,
yes.
Which
a little divisive.
Yeah, which is a very different type of style.
All right, well, there's Rengar, and looks like Malzahar is going to finish it off there for Huhi. Jensen is, as is somewhat traditional for C9, going to get the counter pick here. But Malzahar, very expected champion. Almost every mid laner is prepared for this pick. We'll see if Jensen has a specific counter pick in mind. He has played a few in the past, or if he's just going to kind of play it safe and take something very farm heavy and try and match in the mid to late game versus Huhi.
Yeah, certainly so. And I think that Malzahar as a blind pick is quite safe. There are some tough matchups, certainly.
I knew it! The one pick that Jensen had against Malz last year was Zilean, and I didn't want to say it in case he didn't pick it, but that's awesome.
You are excited. I'm excited too. Zilean is actually a very powerful champion in solo queue, has some of the highest win rates in the game right now, but it is not something that sees a lot of play. And I think especially when you have a super powerful carry who can be aggressive like the Tristana, and even like the Gangplank, that can be very powerful. When you're looking at the later stages of the game, the speed ups, the ultimate res onto someone like a Tristana, if they're having a good laning phase, will be exceptionally powerful.
I just love it. I mean, you think about counter pick from mid lane, oh, it's a Malzahar. What could you possibly take as a counter pick? Well, Jensen, he has prepared this one almost a year earlier. He's going to be taking Zilean into battle once again. And I even love that it fits in with the type of comp they're trying to build. So yes, certainly overexcited, but I love me some fancy drafts, and that was some slick drafting from Cloud9.
Yeah, definitely a strong composition here, but you have to say on the other side, CLG also has a very powerful teamfight composition.
They've done well.
They have really drafted themselves some lanes to attack. I mean, you have an Ornn, you're setting yourselves up to be able to have the potential to dive turrets, to be able to make plays happen, especially when backed up by the Taric ultimate. Malzahar, powerful teamfight with the ultimate to kind of take out someone in the front line, and Varus, a lot of CC there too. So certainly both teams with powerful compositions, and we're going to have to see which one's going to come out on top.
And again, I couldn't have it any other way to finish off day one of the 2018 spring season. The arena is still packed. Fans are awfully loud, which I'm sure they'll keep up as the game continues. But finally, the last two teams that we have yet to see this year will enter Summoner's Rift. CLG with a swath of changes, C9 with the same, and only one team clad in blue can win this one.
It's going to be a good test, you have to think, for Licorice in the top lane. There's a lot of questions about this guy. He's a very talented player. He's incredible mechanically. Certainly has the potential to hold his own, but this is the first of so many challenges he's going to have in the LCS because the top lane roster is incredibly stacked here. You have guys like Darshan, like Impact, like Flame, like Huni, like Someday that are going to be such tough challenges. Haunter as well, for him. And not to mention some of the others. So really it is going to be tough. And if Licorice is someone that can prove that he can not only hold his own, but even go advantageous in some of these matchups, well, people are going to start to have very high expectations very quickly for C9 because you know what you're getting from the bottom side of the map. And Svenskeren, if he can get back to his own form where he has the freedom to play aggressive and really kind of maintain his best play style, then they're going to be a very, very strong team.
I think so as well. And talking kind of little synergies between these two teams. I love looking at the jungle mid matchup for these two. Svenskeren is the type of jungle that Jensen loves to play with, and I think the same is also true for Huhi and Reignover. Yes, their styles are quite different. I think Reignover's maybe more of the aggressor and Huhi can support him, or it's the opposite for Sven pressuring Jensen's lane, but certainly Jensen's a player that has grown in leaps and bounds despite how strong his laning phase has been, and Huhi also massively impressed last year. So these are two of the best mid laners in the league going 1v1 right now.
Nice trade there for Huhi, though. Jensen actually missing the bomb and having minion aggro takes a lot more damage there. So well played early on by Huhi. Not too big of a deal. It's also interesting to point out minion dematerializer actually taken by Darshan in the top lane. He's also playing with Unsealed Spellbook. So there's a lot of discussion about minion dematerializer. How good is it? Why are people taking it? What does it do? Some of the things that it can really allow you to do is actually have proper back timings on cannon waves. Traditionally, people think, well, if you base when your opponent is going to have this cannon wave, you're not going to lose as many minions because that takes 8 shots from a turret. You can dematerialize that, get a better base timing, so they're going to lose the rest. They're going to lose more of the wave as it gets to their turret faster.
What an invade from Reignover there. Here, Sven going to get jumped on again. Another jump proxy electrocute for Reignover. Just straight up solo invades the jungle.
Yeah, nicely done. He's going to get at least this camp, and as Svenskeren fully retreats, he can just take the red buff afterwards. So a good start from him, but we'll see how effective it's going to be for Darshan. Also can enable some roams, right? You can knock down the cannon, push the wave faster, look to create things elsewhere on the map.
Certainly been great to see how the players have used all of the Reforged runes. Again, kind of poking on different rune trees. These kind of standard at this point for Malzahar Unsealed Spellbook, but Jensen actually with Aerie, so a lot more lane focused, wants to apply some pressure. He does have a teleport, so we'll be able to match what I assume he will have eventually in the game, but
well,
I feel like Spellbook also works quite well on Jillian, so it's an interesting choice there to be a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, it certainly is. And while Hui definitely can go for the teleport if he needs to kind of mash side lanes later on, Ghost is also so powerful, and having a low cooldown on Ghost not only gives you the more mobility and chase down potential in later team fights, but it also gives you so much more power to actually avoid a lot of these ganks.
Wow, Sneaky going very aggressive. He does tag both of them there. One more kit, stuns in onto Stixxay. Getting aggressive again, just taking the trading opportunities where they can find it.
Yeah, actually really nicely done there. Smoothly blocking a lot of the damage with the Unbreakable. They had the earlier level 3, they had the Guardian proc available, so it's a good trade. We'll see if it actually does end up resulting in anything more than that, as Stixxay still has his Relic Shield charges, Biofrost has his, so they'll be able to kind of heal back up with that.
Jensen does freeze this wave temporarily, but Kuki swaps that cleanser TP and TP's back instantly to lane. Didn't get too much off of that, but just wants to make sure he keeps up the pressure as Jensen took a lot of damage taking down those caster creeps, but Bomb should be able to clear most of this out as things even back up. Licorice was also down before, but has done the same against the pushing on. Seems to be holding his own fairly well here 1v1 in the early stages.
Yeah, definitely so far so good, and Licorice really just going to be looking to kind of farm it up, continually use your Q to proc Kleptomancy on your opponent. You can get the stacks of gold. You can get gold every single time you actually Q them. You'll get the 5 base no matter what items you pull, even if you pull none. And that in addition to GP's passive, where he's getting even more gold from actually killing off all the minions, means you can get ridiculous amounts of gold. You can get super fast item timings and sometimes kind of escalate yourself to that late game power.
Well, I think now it's time to certainly talk about the junglers as Raynova moves back in.
Sven gonna walk right into him again. Unfortunate timing for him.
Still level disadvantage. Also, Electrocute procs, Bowler goes down. And a red buff, Rengar, certainly tough with Jensen getting constantly pressured by Hui.
I mean, it's actually such a nice game plan. With Hui pushing in, Rainover constantly being there to harass his opponent, and Rainover is pretty close to level 5 here. They're looking to go around and try to take away another camp. Playing pretty aggressive.
Taking damage, stun, not gonna land. Jensen can't quite connect those bombs. Raynova stays, gets 5, takes the big Raptor down as well.
Yeah, that's very nicely done. I mean, Svenskeren is basically a full level behind. He just hit 4 as Rainover gets 5, and they're keeping down Svenskeren quite well so far. Huni taking a lot of damage though. Jensen could maybe chase.
That was one of the best presses of S I've seen from Jensen. Kind of knowing that the Q is coming out. So a good trade. Hui does ding 6, but Flash burnt despite the extra cooldown available from Unsealed Spellbook. That aggressive play that I think Hui would have wanted to have made with Raynova is going to have to wait a little while longer.
Yeah, certainly will. Thankfully, he does have the Summoner Spell cooldown with the Unsealed Spellbook, and we'll be able to get that back. And now that he has hit Lost Chapter, to me, that is the most important early game buy for Malzahar. It means that you're going to have enough mana to constantly push out the waves. You don't really have to worry about running dry before your teleport comes back up, because that's also a shorter cooldown. So he's going to have to play more defensively, but should be in a pretty good spot.
Raynova eating some damage off the barrels, but
taking away another camp. I mean, he's in a good spot.
I mean, what did you say? Raynova, known for abusing people and getting level advantages by effectively pathing and counter jungling, and that's kind of what's happened here. Sven's still behind.
It certainly is, and one of the things that was always interesting to me about Rainover, even when he was not performing on stage as well last year, all the players still had so many positive things to say about him, that he is such an intelligent player. He has such good early game planning. He's always in the right place at the right time, and these are the sort of things that do get you very excited for a Rainover pickup with CLG, because there was a lot of things wrong with Liquid last year, right? So it certainly could not all be pinned on Rainover, and he's definitely in a position to succeed now. He has the teammates, he has the backing of the organization, and we'll see how he can do it.
Has been a slower early game here. CLG, they're up a few hundred gold. Mostly again sitting in that jungle advantage, although Darshan also with his CS lead there, as the rest of the lanes look pretty even.
Now, as Rainover is 6, I think that the first Rengar ultimate is incredibly important to kind of get snowballing. It's such a long cooldown, and if he could get up to the top side, Ornn enables dives so well. Darshan, you'll notice, has held on to Ignite, which tells me they want to go for some sort of a kill, or at least apply that pressure. And with the Ornn ultimate, the fact that he's actually cutting off the wave, Rainover's moving up, they're looking for a play to dive on top side.
More than that as well. Hui also making his way up to the top side.
It's going to be so hard to survive.
There's the ulti. Licorice is going to have to try and get out of the way. Does get knocked up though. Puts the ulti down onto Darshan, who did take turret aggro pretty early. Darshan, they're going to get out from under it. Huhi also here. Licorice, he's burned the stopwatch. Rainover's getting low. Licorice is going to try and get it, but the stopwatch from Rainover makes the dive good. Jensen here to try and pick up an exit kill.
The Ignite still available.
Grab it, unstoppable there from
He's silenced.
Silence down into Jensen sped. He's here and Jensen also himself sped. Finally there with a counter gang. Takes down Darshan. And now aggression in the bot lane. 2v2. 6-day. No ulti, so can't let it go. Stun looking to land, but he doesn't quite find it.
What an explosive fight there. You have to say, Licorice played that about as well as he could have. Really did delay by a lot of time and forced out some cooldowns from their opponents. Allows them to get the trade kill with nice move up to top side. And really, both teams playing that pretty evenly.
Well, it is a trade, but first blood over to CLG. As Rainover re-invading here. Span level 6, caught up a little after that play. Looking for this red buff. Rainover, they're going to try and sneak in and steal it.
No smite on Sven, so he's probably just going to lose this. He actually doesn't know that Rainover didn't have his, and he could be caught out here. They're going for it.
You know what, but Rainover's going to jump. He gets the kill. Jensen not there in time, and now Licorice may be caught out.
Yeah, we don't see Darshan up top, but Licorice is taking a ton of damage here.
Yep, re-jump from Rainover into the brush, barrel down as who he autos into it. Licorice doesn't go down, but so much pressure from this Rengar.
This has just been an immaculate game here from Rainover, really showing off what you can accomplish in this sort of a matchup, not playing passively, asserting his dominance, knowing the limits and the strengths of his champion has been so effective here early on. And despite the fact that it's been C9's bot lane who has been the aggressors in these skirmishes we've seen on the bot side, Stixxay is actually up a couple farm, and here we have the play again. This is just a classic setup. You get level 6 on Ornn, call the jungler top lane, they set it up, but perhaps Darshan going too early, taking a lot of early damage, and Rainover staying in, tanking this, knowing he can reset with the stopwatch for the last shot. No escape for Licorice, but he's done such a good job buying time that Darshan has no real choice but to kind of turn and try to fight this, and it was a close one to taking down Jensen as he was silenced and barely able to get that ultimate off. But again, Rainover back to the top side, constantly applying pressure. There was no smite for Sven Scarrett, and that turnaround there may have kind of cost him.
Yeah, again, I think that this extension, I think, is really the thing that Rainover won after the play in the top lane. CLG, though, on the same page, certainly, coordinating in that top half in the early game.
This is an important moment here in the game. They're actually looking to force this dragon. This is an Infernal. This is not a smaller dragon, but it looks like C9 has gotten so much vision around this area that CLG is not even willing to check in. You see 3 pink wards on the bottom side of the map. You have the pixel brush, you have the mid side brush, you have the tri brush by the bot lane turret. This was 4 other vision wards on the bot side, but they're going to try to re-dive top, and they're going to look for first burn.
Licorice ults away, but I don't think that's going to come in time. And TP's up, it's going to be way too late, and Huhi takes down Licorice. TP cancelled by Jensen, and maybe even the turret to join.
Yeah, just picking on Licorice here in the top lane. 3-man top side again. Jensen TPing in, but it's far too little too late, so CLG doing a good job responding. They do give up the kind of delayed power of the Infernal, but they trade it for what should be the first turret of the game and for what is gold and power right now. And
again, if you're going to pick on any champion, regardless of the player, Kangklang is one to keep down early if you can. First turret gold will also be shared by Darshan and Rainover. We'll be happy to pick up that extra. Also, dive incoming, but good ult from Stixxay keeps Smoothie out of the way. C9 are at least trying to trade turrets here.
Yeah, honestly, really well handled here so far by the CLG bot lane. 4-men bot, calmly back up, use the Varus ultimate to disengage, and CLG is pushing in other lanes. So C9 cannot afford to hang around and try to force that after the initial play has failed. So really well responded to. They're up quite a bit in gold now, and things are looking good for CLG.
Yeah, 2,500 gold up here for CLG. Rainover leading the charge, defending against a C9 3-man invade. Again, good defensive vision here. Smoothie sneaking to find Biofrost. He's going to get tagged up here, but a Dazzle is going to make it okay. Sunland
coming
through.
down.
He's going to try and chain CC it in. Biofrost does have the ultimate if he wants to let it rip, but he's going to have to flash out of the way. Ignite did go down, but he survives. And now Stixxay firing back in onto Sneaky.
Rainover is here. You can see Jensen has cheated halfway down. Darshan is on the top side, still holding on to the Ignite with the Unsealed Spellbook. Really feels that he has the advantage and perhaps could continue to pressure Licorice more heavily. But with the Rengar ultimate available very, very shortly, with Darshan having TP, you're going to have to start respecting the potential for those plays as C9. If you go a little bit too aggressive and you've missed a ward behind you, it's going to get turned around very, very quickly.
Yeah. Licorice again fighting up against Darshan, but very tough in this long lane to play too aggressively. Trying to take down that control wall, but Darshan sticking around long enough to defend it, and this is quite the standoff. Licorice does a little dance, and we're back to it, but again, Darshan saying, nope, this is my ward, get out.
He will defend it. Eventually, it'll probably go down, but the kind of funny thing about this is because of Kleptomancy, because of the GP passive, even though Licorice has died a couple times, even though he's down quite a bit of farm, almost 30 CS, and there's 2 assists on Darshan, their gold is not that far apart. It's about 700-800 gold apart, which is not a tremendous difference. So that is the reason you need to be focusing this guy, because if they're even on farm, if he's allowed to kind of freely do what he wants, it's going to be very, very tough to keep pace.
Yep, Darshan though doing well, 30 CS ahead. So that wave pushes in. Oh, catching onto Rainover, but hats off from Svenskeren. Down from Licorice as well, going to try and maybe get another Rainover. Flashes out of the wave.
Oh, he's out there.
Does pop the ulti smoothie. Goes forward, tag him with the Q. Svenskeren going to try and find him invisible. Hui with a great ultimate. Just gives Rainover enough time to escape.
Oh, that was so nicely done from Hui. Just using the ultimate for the split second to create the separation there from Svenskeren and Rainover. They get a couple flashes from C9. It does cost the summoners from Rainover as well as the ultimate, which is pretty large cost, but overall, you have to think 2 flashes from C9 means they expended more.
Certainly did. C9 still scrambling to try and find a little bit more here in this game. CLG continuing to play controlled aggression. Has been their trademark. Sneaky though, also getting pretty big, so ADs have been farming nice and evenly. Have to think that maybe Trist has a bit more of an edge as we get pretty late into the game, but Stixxay should hold up well most of the way through this one, especially given that the top side of his map is winning.
To me, it really just depends on who can actually have more space created for them by their team. If Varus has a lot of space with the Rage Blade build, he's going to be putting out a tremendous amount of damage. But because Varus does not have a jump, because he does not have a dash, he has to play more carefully if he is not being gifted that space. But with an Ornn, with a Taric, with the pressure coming forward from that Rengar, he may actually have enough of that space to be able to really get a lot of DPS out, which is where it can get a lot closer in terms of who's putting out more damage, who is more valuable later. But I really think the kind of thing that throws a wrench in the gears for CLG is the fact that if C9 gets a very fed AD carry, you have Zillion to back him. It's not just the bomb. You have a second life, so Sneaky can afford to play that much more aggressively than his opponent, since he kind of gets that second mistake.
Yep, and I think, again, as far as making space on the map, only 1 turret up for CLG, but none on the side of C9 means that with how well Rainover is controlling the enemy map and enemy jungle, C9 are really struggling, despite all their success in this bot lane, to break open and try and make this map a little bigger for themselves. Spendo is going to try in onto mid lane, but Hui a respectful flash away.
I definitely agree, but at the same time, they maybe don't need to really do anything except stall. As long as they're not bleeding out more, they still do have an Infernal to their name, and Rainover very far in here.
Getting 3 stunned. Oh, yep. Svenskeren away. Hui here. Stun lands through. Silence in on, but there's a suppress down. On onto it's going to chain this one into Jensen, who does ult himself. Sven does manage to kill Rainover as the TP is cancelled by Licorice, but the ultimate there by Stixxay is going to make it a 1-for-1 trade. Sneaky trying to get something back, but not a whole lot to find.
Does end up being the trade, but that was looking a lot more like Liquid Rainover than it was Rainover from Immortals. Kind of wanders in there, sees his opponents fighting a little bit too aggressively, and it felt like he kind of just gave away his life. Yes, CLG was able to make a good collapse and get a kill back, but it did not feel like it was because of Rainover's play. It felt like it was in spite of Rainover's play there. So I definitely want to see some more effective ultimates from him, as he's not been.
Jensen looking for a solo. Great stopwatch for Hui, but the bomb may have time to. Yes, they do! Jensen naps the kill.
Nicely played there by Jensen. He even had the ultimate in his back pocket. Hui had his ult available, so it was going to come down to the timing of that. Who would have been able to get it out first, but Jensen comes out on top.
I'm reminded of my favorite Bard-Zillion interaction. Unfortunately, stopwatch, despite how good it is, does sometimes put you in sticky spots, and that is one of them as I watch this again.
Yeah, so here's the initial play. This is not like Rainover got surprised. He sees them over here on the ward, kind of just walks in, and I mean, Hui's still in mid lane. This speaks to me about a lack of communication or a lack of understanding quite where his teammates were or where they're going to be, because yes, although this does get turned around, Rainover really accomplished nothing in that fight except buying a little bit of time. The TP came down from Darshan, but Licorice did not TP in, right? This is not great from the jungler of CLG.
Certainly not. Teleport's cooling down across the rift here. Licorice with a cancel should have a nice discount on that one, and C9 again still trying to crack this bottom outer turret, but like you said, no need for immediate worry. Should be able to get it eventually. It's just not giving up too much more from there, and with Licorice has been kept down, but evened up that CS quite nicely, and now with a Trinity Force making that farm much, much faster.
Yeah.
C9 are catching up in this game, but CLG do still hold a nice little lead.
They certainly do, but you know, CLG needs to be able to be proactive, right? You want to be seeing Reignover make good moves every time his ultimate is up. You know, put on pressure, get at the very least summoners, and hopefully kills with those Rengar ultimates. But it's also kind of interesting to talk a little bit more about what Darshan is doing, because we have talked about the fact that he's using Ignite, but it's very atypical to see Ignite plus Teleport. He has not actually swapped back to, you know, a flash TP or anything like that. He's keeping the Ignite, perhaps pressure Licorice and threaten a kill there in the top side, because that does give you a lot more kill power, but he's also going to be giving up a lot of his playmaking, a lot of his escaping type ability. So it's a pretty big trade-off, and I'm going to be interested to see quite how long Darshan hangs on to that Ignite if he does eventually swap out for the flash.
Well, from top back to bottom, nice double objective take there from C9. It seems like finally the bot lane pressure was enough to give them both the second Drake in a cloud, and finally that bottom outer turret to even the score back up there. Licorice, though, fighting Reignover, not a fight the Pirates looking to win too easily. Reignover, not even with a Black Cleaver finish just yet, is components and a warrior, and Licorice is a little worried in that 1v1.
Yeah, you definitely have to be, but at the same time, if Reignover overcommits and doesn't have a way back out, he can definitely get taken down, because the GP ultimate is so much power if you are going to be stuck in that. So both players just kind of trading back and forth. Reignover trying to fight for vision, trying to continue what he started in the early stages of the game, but has not really been able to kind of continue asserting that dominance. Svenskeren has been getting back into it, has been keeping up in farm, and really things have evened out quite a lot as far as the jungle is concerned.
Certainly have, and we have a swap here as well. Dual lane for C9 going towards that top side. Licorice now down in a safer lane there with bot, although Darshan is roaming mid with his ultimate back up. CLG might be looking to collapse on this very low mid turret. There's the on ulti. Kicks the ball. No, doesn't quite find it. Flash ult though into Jensen.
Oh my god, that combo was sick! The flash ultimate from Malzahar, the dazzle coming off of Reignover, who's ulting in. I mean, Jensen gets no chance to ultimate there. That was so well executed by CLG. If you just kind of ignore the fact that Darshan whiffed his ultimate, but we'll give him a pass on that one.
Did he get the brittle for the first pass through? That's what it was.
Yeah, it all counts.
Totally what it was for. Still a kill nonetheless on Jensen with his ulti and both sums still up. Sneaky does get some pressure down, but Stixxay is here to answer.
Yep. And Darshan has swapped back to the flash now, so deciding, hey, probably not going to be able to actually pressure the GP for a kill. Wants the playmaking, wants the ability to escape if he is going to be getting collapsed on, but C9's bot lane is starting to put on a lot of pressure. I mean, this is a two-item tryst. They took down the bot lane turret. They're pressuring very heavily on the top side. You can see Hui is kind of moving up to threaten an attack on the top side, but all the summoners are available for Sneaky and Smoothie. They're looking to be very safe, and Svenskeren is in their back pocket.
And again, all that pressure that went top, that Licorice is kind of finally making up as we'll check in with this play again. We'll just watch poor Jensen get completely trapped by a nice coordinated CLG.
Yeah, this is just really well done. Darshan the whiff, but the flash ultimate followed up by the ultimate from Reignover, plus Biofrost dazzling off of him. So you connect with the Bastion, use the dazzle for the stun. Really well comboed. And C9 a little bit over confident to be kind of defending that in the mid lane. That was a 2 versus potentially 5. You know, their team was not really in position, and the turret was a couple hits away from dying anyway. So probably should have just backed up and given just the turret instead of losing a kill plus one.
Yep, instead lose both. CLG continuing to stay ahead, 2,000 gold in this game. Blue buff over to Jensen as the bomb is able to collect the last of its health. And still, turret being worked on that top lane here, although Sneaky looks like he's just roaming back, and C9 might be trying to posture for a play on mid. It does start to get a little scary total map advantage-wise when you have your opponents have mid outer and you do not.
Yeah, it certainly does. You have a lot less safety. You don't really kind of have that comfort, especially when you're looking around Baron. CLG has top turret and mid turret for their T1s, and C9 has neither. So there's no real safe place to retreat to if fights around the Baron are looking kind of bad. And when there is someone who has this kind of long-range engage, like a Rengar, who can really catch you out in the open and chase you down, that can be pretty scary. But it looks like C9 moving up to the top side. Huni is roaming up Rainover is in the area. It's 4 men from C9. We'll see if CLG decide to fight their TP in as
no,
well.
That TP might get counter, but not enough damage on the turret. Smoothie is going to have to move back in. There's the GP ult. Smoothie tries to flash out of the way. Does shot.
Oh, nice ultimate.
Just a good two-man knocker, but C9 in full retreat. Sneaky getting low, but Jensen's there with the ulti just in case. Smoothie able to flash out to safety. Licorice cancels his TP as the ult under to Sven. He's going to get him killed, but got Zillion ulti. He's going to try and buy Sven a bit more time. He ulti's out, flashes out of the way, but Stixxay able to flash that down and chase for the kill. It's only one, but that'll do.
But it's the jungler, and Baron is on the table. Rainover's very low, so this would be extremely risky, especially with the ton of wards that C9 has around here. So they are going to just back off for now. Will be the one kill, but a lot of resources expended on both sides. You can see so many summoners down, teleports expended on both sides, and that was very close to being good for C9. If they could have knocked down that turret a second or two earlier, Darshan would not have been able to come through. But also, kind of a critical mistake perhaps from Smoothie. He used the Unbreakable before the Ornn ultimate comes through. So here's what I'm talking about. Look how low this turret gets, but they decide they can't kill it first. They back off. The Unbreakable is already spent. It expires, and this sets up for the perfect Ornn ult from Darshan, knocking up a couple, putting a lot of pressure on, and really kind of forcing C9 into a full retreat. Gangplank has to cancel his TP because he's in the middle of everyone, and it means the Svenskeren is left out to dry.
Yep, nothing he can do. Brittle applied, great stun. 0-6, flashes stylishly to finish that one off. Baron, though, stays up for now, but still CLG collecting a kill and getting some gold and continuing to deny C9 another turret take. Again, the longer this goes on, a turret on a few HP is still up. That's gold you do not have yet.
Yeah, it certainly is. But C9, really starting to scale up. This is a GP on 2.5 items. You can see Sneaky getting quite strong here as well. He's still sitting on his 2 items, but he has a lot of gold in his pocket. So, when he goes back, he'll have another Zeal at the very least. And when you're backed up by that Zillion, you can have some pretty strong advantages in the fight. And I think so much is going to come down to the Taric ultimate versus that Zillion ultimate, which is going to be more effective because they are essentially playing a similar role. And Rainover looking for a pick here.
Finds Licorice, chug. A little too far forward. TP in from Jensen, cancelled. Is still from base though, flying back down. Should be pretty quick. Able to speed himself up, but that gives CLG with one Rengar ulti a bit of extra pressure and control back over the Baron pit.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure gain there, certainly against TP, but Hui
forced to flash.
And has to flash out.
Good find there from Svenskeren. But C9 not able to convert, but this actually might be enough to scatter pressure as Hui gets found without his flash now. Could give C9 this mid-turret, so all of a sudden we're going to even things back up on the turret front. C9 even pushing for a little bit more, but will back away.
Yeah, I mean, gold is basically dead even at this point, and even though Rainover is 2 levels up on Svenskeren, it's a lot harder for a Rengar to really find the effectiveness in a team fight, especially against a Zillion, right? Because if you're diving deep for a carry, it is essentially a one-way trip. And if Zillion can then just res that person back up, sometimes you're not going to have a lot of effectiveness. So he has to be very particular about how he enters the fights, what he's going to be able to get done. Whereas for Svenskeren, you basically just kind of have to be this meat shield. Yes, you want a really good ultimate, but even if you cannot pull that off, you're still going to be baseline very effective.
Certainly so. As pretty extended Baron dance is starting here, 26 minutes through this game. C9 kind of aware of how important the objective is now, especially given that the next Drake that spawned is another Cloud.
Yeah.
Yes, C9 already have 2, but they're probably not keen to get another Cloud, especially if it means giving up pressure on the top side of the map. So instead, we'll keep things farming through, and with the game much closer, it's very important mid-game to not give away too much here.
Yeah, it really feels to me like CLG is feeling the pressure that they have to get this Baron. They're spending a lot of time around here trying to force some fights, trying to get some advantages. They feel like they need to push the pace. C9 is slowing down this game a lot, and they are perhaps thinking about jumping on to a fight here, but Licorice has rotated around. There are 5 C9 members in the area, and they still have vision in the pit. They still have one ward over in that pit.
An excellent pathing there by Sneaky and Smoothie. Couldn't find the sweepers, but stay nice and safe. Span, ultimate at the ready, but just going to clear out vision and force CLG away as they retake vision here in the pit. Sneaky is getting so strong. QSS done to protect against the Malzahar ulti and 1400 gold still to go. Should be at 2 Zeal items very quickly. Gangplank having all that time. Licorice 3 items as well, given how bad the start of the game was for him. He's done a good job there.
Coming out.
Good block though. Smoothie does get called. The forward got cancelled. Svenskeren
Right over the back line.
Out of the way. Rainover trying to jump in. Resurrect there in onto the Sejuani. Might give the fight back to C9. Gangplank doing so much.
Rainover's still alive.
Barely lives though. Sven able to take him down with their E. But a trade kill there as Svenskeren also dies. Jungle is dead. CLG on the attack.
That's the trade of junglers. Rainover just barely not able to get out. Svenskeren goes down once, is brought back to life by Jensen. But then that opened up the ability for Rainover to attack the backline, for him to threaten onto Sneaky because the Zillion ult was no longer available. With junglers going down, not much is going to come of it. It looks like CLG will get a dragon, but it is not really one of the big ticket ones. That's easy to pick up, and they should go for it. But either way, another even trade, and these two teams seem to be very, very closely matched.
Yep, C9 are going to get the turret lead, if only briefly, trading it top lane outer for effectively that Cloud Drake.
I mean, gold is dead. Really, the only thing separating these two teams is the Infernal at this point. And Svenskeren pretty far up. This is why Braum is so good into Ornn. You see Smoothie blocking the first part of that. Svenskeren does go down much faster, but he has the Zillion ultimate. And Rainover diving into the backline, trying to put on pressure. Huni looking to get around the side and does kind of tag Sneaky with that Q. Gets a lot of damage on him, pushing him out of the fight, which allows the rest of the team to move forward, take down Svenskeren, and make it an even trade.
Well, still good damage there, but again, very even in that fight, and now in the gold as we're almost 30 minutes through this game. CLG have a little less room on the one side lane, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. At this point, we're just kind of looking at who has priority around the objectives, who can get to the Baron area, and who can have the real 5v5 team fight. We've already talked about the benefits of both Trist and Varus in those situations, while Trist may be a little easier to get that work done. That does not exclude Varus from having a good team fight. And if a team fight goes wrong at this stage, that almost seals the game up for you. It just opens up so much of an advantage.
It really does. You know, thankfully for these teams, they have a lot of turrets still standing, so it's likely not to be a game ender, but you're definitely thinking Baron's going to be going the other team's way. Perhaps that means an inhibitor is going the other team's way, and that really can start to spell the end for these teams if you lose map control. But CLG posturing again, looking to try to get this vision back. It's been such a battle.
It really has, as Rainover gets poked a little bit, not too much. Sneaky goes forward with the rocket shot. They're going to try and find it. That call, the Forge got again down, but blocked by Smoothie. Stixade forced to use the ultimate and the stopper to get out of the way.
Licorice
and Licorice, he goes for a blow, but he does get CC'd up. But a great ult there by Jensen is going to save him as Darshan goes down. Flash out from Huhi as C9 find a crucial kill.
Yeah, they get a big kill there onto Darshan. He's not able to get away, and this time, Svenskeren is alive. Sneaky's the only one low, but he has lifesteal. He can heal back up, and they're looking to move over towards Baron, but not before getting control of the mid lane. They want to push this out. They want to force CLG to respond to the minions and then go over and have the potential of either going straight for the Baron or turning. And it looks like CLG is going to try to contest this. Biofrost is still there. He does not have his ultimate. Stixade's running back from base, and C9's looking to turn.
Sneaky really looks for Biofrost. Do find the stun. Biofrost down. Sneaky able to shoot him, and now dumping in onto Huhi. Again, looking for that kill. Huhi knows something to keep himself safe as Smoothie grabs it with the Winter's Bite.
C9 playing it very, very well around the Baron. They find the turn, they get the kill. No ultimate, no flash available for Biofrost, so really no way out there. And C9 will claim this Baron. It's not going to be contested, and they get the first major lead of the game.
Yep, 3 up for CLG, but not enough to contest for this. Svenskeren with a smite at the ready is going to take down that Baron. And this Baron power play is very important for the remainder of this game, but let's watch this pick again.
Yeah, not the start to the fight that they wanted, and so much credit to Svenskeren. Finding Stixay amidst all these players, someone needed to be blocking for Stixay. It needed to be a Taric eating that. It needed to be an Ornn eating that ultimate. Instead, they find the AD carry. Yes, he survives, but he can no longer enter the fight. The flash forward from Licorice, not punished because of the Zillion ultimate, and that was really all Svenskeren to win that fight. A beautiful Sejuani ult.
And again, for how much of a struggle the early game was, Sven really coming back up here as Mono into the Licorice.
In trouble.
So 1v2 right now gets rooted and killed very simply. And Stixay and Darshan claim a kill, so bit of the teeth taken out of the sideline pressure from Baron.
Yeah, and it's a good pick to delay some time, you know, with that Baron down. We'll see C9 is going to pressure heavily because Darshan is moving over, and so is Stixay, and this could be a 5v4. Have to be a bit careful. I mean, Rainover on the side has his ultimate up. C9 wants to get turrets, but you need to be aware of the fact that you are a bit vulnerable, at least for these next 20 seconds. Play it patiently, wait till GP is up, and then look to make your move.
Yeah, and again, C9 will be patient here, waiting for Licorice to come back up. 15 seconds till he respawns. Sneaky is very strong and has Jensen there with a death cap now finished, able to resurrect him and also provide a lot of damage in CC. So the total team fight power for C9 is high, but CLG aren't behind that much more.
One of the amazing things about having a death cap on Zillion is how much more health you'll get back from the ultimate res. So, you know, it's up well above 2,000 health now. It's around 2,200 HP that you're going to get back when you get res from Jensen because of all the AP that he has, because he has level 16. So, you know, that's full HP for an AD carry, essentially. It does give you a lot more team fight power.
You could also see, again, maybe just Sven face checking aggressively, disrupting the fight, letting Sneaky free hit, and then he's the one that gets res, and same deal, he gets all his health back. So C9, a lot of good options in a traditional front-to-back team fight. And the carries are still scaling up. Licorice again, Infinity Edge is the next item he's looking for as C9 claim their 4th turret of the game, mid-tier 2 down. Now transitioning down with a minute 10 left on Baron, looking for yet another turret.
Yeah, CLG have to decide, do they want to make their stand here? They're backing up, but 6A caught again by Sven.
6A, ultimate out there, for the forward guard does get blocked, and he goes down. Able to find the snipe, and now the fight moves forward. Jensen, able to credit to that kill now. Darshan looking to go down as C9 surge forward. Sneaky jumps in aggressive onto the base. And the tradition of awkward pauses in Cloud9 games continues.
Oh my god, that is not the time you want to pause.
No.
No.
But kills all your action, man. Sneaky's like, yes! And then momentum just killed.
But I mean, that, assuming everything is still okay, hopefully we'll get really quickly back into the game, but that is very likely the game is over. This is C9 at the inhibitor turret, 3 members already dead, Sneaky resetting on the team. Even if he does not kill anyone else, the game is done, assuming nothing else is having to happen here. So, pretty crazy fight there. Again, Svenskeren the one to win the team fight. Catches Stixay with his ultimate on Sejuani. 2 team fights in a row. Critically, that ends the fight, essentially. And whether you want to put that on Stixay or his teammates for not blocking for him, or you just want to give all the credit to Svenskeren, that is so impactful, and you just have to track Svenskeren here again. He's finding ways to catch Stixay time and time again. He gets him there. He's going to get burst down. You can see how much damage is coming through, and then the barrel chain, the GP ultimate, everything being burst on top of him before Biofrost's ultimate comes down means that the fight is over. Without Varus alive, there's no chance for CLG to win that fight, and Svenskeren having a hell of a first game for C9.
Yeah, and it looked close watching that back again, but Cosmic Radiance was so close to winning 60, and I think he might have just been a touch late. CLG have paused, so maybe just investigating that, not sure exactly what's wrong. We'll inform you when we get more info, but like you said, a very well-won team fight, started by Svenskeren, great follow-up from the rest of the team. Again, in a traditional front-to-back team fight, C9's comp is very straightforward to play. As soon as one of your players with the ability to open up the fight makes a good play, the follow-up should be very simple. And like you said, back-to-back, it's been Svenskeren.
I definitely agree, but at the same time, you have to say it should not be this easy for Stixay to be getting caught like that. Yes, it's incredible play from Svenskeren, and he has really single-handedly won these last 2 team fights. But that being said, you have an Ornn, you have a Taric, you have these people who can stand in front and absorb it, especially the Ornn. Plus, you can still say, well, Stixay has his flash, right? Maybe you should have been able to reactively flash that. But something should be happening to really kind of limit the options for Svenskeren, because he is capitalizing so heavily on what little is being given to him. But CLG should not be giving him the chance to land that ultimate in the first place.
No, and again, I mentioned the Baron power play for C9 would be critical in determining how far ahead they could get and put themselves towards the finish line. If it just actually puts them at the finish line, it's probably the best. That's the best kind of Baron power play.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, if you try to make your stand out an outer turret, it's a lot harder to defend there than it is when they're kind of sieging uphill into your base. And in this case, CLG seems to have made that stand and kind of come up wanting as C9 another dominant team fight, and really that's all it has taken. These 2 team fights are pretty much what has decided the entire game here for C9 after what really was a great start for CLG that they kind of failed to continue.
And I think how we got to this point is actually really interesting. I actually love what C9 did in this game to kind of put the pressure in the right places and alleviate pressure where it was being put. Licorice, you remember, died once and then again to start off that game, but C9, they knew their bottom lane was pressuring. They eventually took down the turret, and then Licorice had all this time down in the safe bottom lane to get his farm. And CLG did not go back there. They were like, okay, Sneaky and Smoothie, they're too far ahead. We need to stop them from trying to take another turret. And Licorice is like, sweet. Just shoot some barrels, get some farm, and catch us right back up.
And that's the tough thing. When you want to attack hyper carries because you're like, okay, we have to keep them down. We have to stop them from getting this farm getting strong. But if you commit a lot of resources to putting a gangplank behind and then cannot continually keep him down the rest of the game, he will eventually catch back up. He will hit those item spikes and catch right back up.
Well, certainly will. But as we do have a pause going on, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Just need a few minutes to investigate the bug as claimed by CLG, who initiated the pause there in what looked to be a game-ending fight in favor of Cloud9.
If that's not some type of remake or rewind or something, I feel like the game is essentially over and C9 would have won.
Yeah, very much so. A couple kills just gone over in their favor with the Baron buff still active, can likely push to close the game. But I want to figure out how the heck C9 even got into this position, because the early game and the way it was shaping up for CLG looked damn good.
This is a really smart draft by both teams. Just unfortunate for CLG that last pick Zillion kind of ruins a lot of what they're going for. They have a top side that's going to win that matchup. They have a master pick comp with Varus, Rengar, and Malzahar, which should start controlling mid lane. The problem is the mid laner the enemy team takes is one that is relatively safe to all this that's going to happen to them.
Yeah, when we saw that Zillion pick, both of us were like, oh man, we both predicted CLG, but I really like C9's draft. Because CLG's draft was looking good until that Zillion just blocks a lot of what they want to do.
All right, but to your point from the beginning of the day, and specifically about Reignover, right? What kind of Reignover are we going to see? When he was most successful, it was when he was controlling the enemy jungle.
Yeah, and Reignover did a lot of really good things in the first 10 to 12 minutes of this game, and they just haven't been able to get it forward from here. He pushed Svenskeren off the red buff multiple times. I mean, you can see him here at level 2, takes Raptors. Guess what? Reignover cycles. Level 4, push him out, take Raptors. He doesn't stop until you force him to break the cycle.
Level 7, we're back.
Kills him at red buff, kills the top laner, takes the turret. They continually went after this, and that part of the game plan worked out very well for CLG.
And that was the second dive. They actually dove top twice. So if their game plan is get pick comp, blow up top side where you have a better matchup, and then transition that to mid or bot, should be great. But then C9 starts stepping up and stopping the cycling that Jack is talking about.
Right, to put some numbers to that advantage that he created, he was about 1.25 levels ahead. He had stolen a total of 7 camps from Svenskeren in the first 10 minutes of the game. That's an incredible amount of gold and experience when you start looking at what those jungle camps are worth. So with an advantage like this, as we mentioned, looks like if we can ball those pick champions up, we might be able to steamroll the game. Is it really a Zillion pick that can stop 3, 4, 5 pick champions in their track?
Not on his own completely, but they did do a couple smart things. So first off, like we were saying, stop the cycle. One time they started camping the brush near Raptors, so the next time that Reignover went for that invade, they didn't actually kill him. He lived with like 1 HP, but they forced him out. They bought some space for Svenskeren to get some breathing room, and then later on, they started forcing these skirmishes around mid lane that, to be fair, CLG didn't play super well. Reignover went really deep one time and died.
All right, well, as we close out that point, I'm receiving word that we're about ready to head back into the game, so I'm going to toss it back over to the casters. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much for the quick relief. We should be back into this game shortly, and like we've kind of hinted at already, seems like everything is good to go. Whatever happened, unfortunate, but a game-winning play likely for Svenskeren.
Yeah, it seemed like Stixxay thought there was some sort of issue with his QSS, and he did have that available perhaps for that ultimate, so not sure if he felt that it didn't work or it went off the wrong time or something happened, but it was to do with that. Seems that there was no bug, according to QC, so we are going to be jumping back in.
Yep, has of course been checked by officials, so it should be good to go in just a short amount of time. I guess I have to ask you, given this current state of the game, is it possible that it doesn't end? We'll have to find out. Sneaky again leaping back in. That's going to force a flash from Bifrost, and looks to be all over but for the crying perhaps here. C9 going to take down this bot inhib and move forward with 5+ Baron.
Yeah, unless we're about to see a Rengar pentakill here, I think this one is pretty much done.
All right, Reignover going to look to try and make a miracle happen, but Sneaky is just so strong. Reignover dives in, does kind of juke out of the way, but stunned by Svenskeren, and the Sejuani as Licorice collects the killing blow. Jensen in a zone out, Bifrost, good take there from Smoothie as they won it all. The ace to end the game is C9 take down all 5 members of CLG, their last few turrets and the Nexus, and start the season off with a win.
Really nice game there from C9. You gotta say the draft, very intelligent. The Zillion pick coming through so clutch, and Licorice and Svenskeren answering a lot of questions. Svenskeren got so much criticism at Worlds, and both of his ultimates in the last 2 team fights were what clinched this game for C9, so very well done by him. And Licorice withstanding so much pressure in the top side and continuing to be relevant throughout the game. Had a solid first appearance.
Certainly think so, and of course the veterans on Cloud9, the core that remained intact. Jensen, a perfectly fine Jillian game, but maybe not something super standout, but the consistency and the strength and experience of this bottom lane really shone through. Stixxay and Bifrost are a very good bot lane in this league, and I think Sneaky and Smoothie just said, you know what, we've been doing this for a while together. They were the pressure that really built through that mid game for Cloud9.
Yeah, they really were. I mean, they're able to kind of capitalize on the fact that CLG wanted to go so heavily to the top side. They knock down the bot turret, they take the top turret. Definitely did well moving around the map, and funnily enough, it's actually Licorice dealing the most damage in the game, despite the fact that he was set behind, despite the fact that they started that pressure. And for CLG's side, I liked the comp overall. They had a very good plan. They were able to execute in the early stages, but it did feel like there was some significant mistakes in the mid and late game as far as the team fight execution, as far as being able to know what is kind of the next step.
Certainly the good from what we saw out of CLG is, I think, what a lot of people wanted to see when they saw this roster. Darshan, Reynova, and Huhi in particular all playing very well. And you could see with Reynova wanting to get aggressive, with how supportive Darshan and Huhi can both be. I mean, Huhi was all over that early game on the roaming Malzahar.
Yeah, I mean, he played an incredible game, I think, on Malzahar. Definitely something to be proud of there. But, it really did come down to the team fighting, and C9 was able to delay the game enough. CLG never really was able to get full vision control around the Baron, never able to really snowball the game from their early leads, which makes it very tough because then you're left in a situation where you have to execute in the team fights, and the game just came down to 2 incredible ultimates from Svenskeren, catching Stixxay back-to-back.
And I think for me, Sven, obviously a great player, multiple-time championship winner here in the NALCS. It's great to see him on a Tango perform so well, especially after being held down. But remember, this guy is known for trademark aggression. When the meta shifts, or if Cloud9 just feel like that's another way they want to play, they also have hyper-aggressive jungle and probably mid-jungle to also play to as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a great meta for assassin junglers, for things like Eve, for Kha'Zix. You can play J4 even somewhat offensively. We've seen Rengar, even in this game. So definitely potential for Svenskeren to bust that out, and going to be excited to see his development alongside this team.
Certainly a nice and controlled game there from Cena. Not quite there on the post game, but we'll get you in a second. Never mind. I'm right there ready. Let's send it down to Overly May and the Cloud9 jungler.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Svenskeren. Congratulations on the win. Can you tell me a little bit about that last fight and how you guys pulled off the win?
Yeah, so I think the game was pretty clean, except for the fact that I basically couldn't enter my topside jungle the whole game because Reynova was just punishing me for not starting red buff. So I think they played pretty well, but I think our team comp in the end was just better than theirs. So we didn't really have to play that much better than them because our champs was just better.
How was playing against Reynova? Was he giving you a bit of a hard time?
Yeah, so basically the matchup as well, and I did a mistake of not starting red buff, so he could kind of punish me in that way. But yeah, I think he's definitely good, so I'm not too embarrassed, I guess.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about joining Cloud9. What does joining Cloud9 mean for you, and how does it affect your playstyle?
Yeah, so joining Cloud9, I've been super happy about that they gave me the opportunity to play for them because I've always respected Cloud9 as ever since I was on TSM, Cloud9 and TSM has been the top tier teams in NA. So I feel extremely lucky, I guess, to be able to play on both those top teams. And yeah, the C9 is super friendly team, and you just get a lot of freedom in terms of how you live your life kind of, and it's just your play style as well. It's not that stressful. So yeah, I really like that.
Can you tell me a little bit more about maybe the freedom of your team environment and your team atmosphere and how that affects you?
So I think the team atmosphere is a lot more positive and friendly and joke around. The scrims and stuff is not that stressful. We kind of take it more relaxed, I guess. And yeah, it's just how you live is just more relaxed, I guess.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about your new top laner, Licorice. People are a little bit skeptical on him joining Cloud9. What are your thoughts on him so far?
Yeah, so I think Licorice is super good. I think NA top laners have been kind of underrated, I guess, compared to all the Korean, because all the Korean top laners, but definitely the scrims he can hold up against all the other NA top laners. So I'm pretty excited to play with him.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and I have high hopes for him in the future. We're going to throw it over to the desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. That's going to do it, our 5th game of the day, and it falls in favor of Cloud9. We already had an opportunity to break down a piece of that game, or the majority of that game, rather, because of the pause. But one thing I wanted to do was replay that final fight, the one with the pause, so we can kind of see how Cloud9 put a capper on this first game.
Yeah, the pause was because Stix, I didn't think his QSS went off. He was a little late with it, and he also just got bursted there in the end by everything. And at this point, C9 had a very large lead.
Yeah, looking at that, there's a period where he was stunned and then knocked up. Looked like he tried to QSS prior to the knock-up, but actually ends up not getting it in time. And then once you're in the air, your QSS goes off, but it doesn't actually stop the knock-up portion. Therefore, he feels CC'd while his QSS did actually go off.
Well, there you have it. I mean, I don't think we need to linger on this too long. One thing I do want to talk about, though, is that move for Svenskeren, is that confidence that he has in the team around him and the composition that they built in that game. He hit a lot of the same key points that you guys, hit in terms of why the victory came for Cloud9. Yes, he had a slow start. Yes, he made the mistake and Rainover punished him, but ultimately drafting in this case won them the game.
Yeah, and also just the strong mid and bot side of that map. So the GP fell over early lane. He got cycled by Rainover on his red buff, but the Ornn couldn't do anything in teamfights because of Smoothie's shields, and the Rengar couldn't do anything in teamfights because of Jensen's zillion ultimates. So his team had his back for sure.
And it definitely bodes well for the future because you heard Svenskeren admitting my mistake was starting on my strong side and clearing to my top so I could get abused. If I didn't do that, I think this game's a lot easier. And then they also have the great draft, and they obviously played great as a team to stop letting themselves get abused. Licorice fell down about 20 CS in the first 10 minutes of the game, stayed at around 20 CS the entire game before they finally started winning. So overall, they showed that they can take a loss early on and bounce back, which is really promising to see.
By the same token, CLG kind of getting unlucky to a degree in the way that they didn't, right? They're the first team that had to play against that Zillion. Malzahar is very clearly meta, right?
Yeah.
And so here's the first example of in a pro game this season where somebody's bringing out the Zillion in response to that. Unfortunate for CLG that they have to run into Jensen's Zillion first of all teams.
Yeah, I think there's a few things they could have done against it a little bit more.
Okay.
They were still cycling topside, even though he was never building a QSS on Zillion. Rengar, Malzahar, ganking mid lane, you can actually still do that. So there were certain things CLG could have played around, but I agree, they got caught by surprise and there's no game 2.
Best of one, exactly.
Best of ones,
they
baby.
lost. It's over.
A brand new world, best of ones. Well, it's only day 1, so let's see which teams made a splash. At the start of the split, Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, and Clutch Gaming each picked up a win alongside Echo Fox and Cloud9, while the other teams aim to tie their record with our matches tomorrow. But taking a look at this standings, of course, you guys correctly guessed, what, 3 out of 5 each?
3 out of 5.
Because of this most recent game, which was looking very good. How do you feel about
won the best of 5 at predictions.
That's a good point.
We're great.
So we just marked down as a win for today.
We won
and we won today.
60% is what we aim here for on the analysis.
You only need to
I'm
win
a little
60%
worried.
of the games in the World Final and you're a champion.
That's a good point. If my solo queue win rate was 60%, then I'd be
challenger.
That's a really good point. But looking at these teams, does anything in particular surprise you? Quite obviously, you'd say the ones I didn't predict are the ones that surprised me, but anything really jumping out?
Yeah, I was impressed with how clean Clutch Gaming looked in their victory. All 5 people took super magical boots. They had an organized rune setup from a team and very organized play in game. But you got to take that with a big grain of salt because a lot of people are expecting Golden Guardians to be weak early on in the split, and that's who they played against.
All right, before we move on to tomorrow's matches, let's take a look at who made their opening day count by picking up, player of the game. For Team Liquid, we have Ole, 100 Thieves, Afromu. We've got Clutch Gaming's Febivin, Echo Fox's Huni, and Cloud9's Svenskeren. Let's talk about a few of these guys. Of course, Huni making his splash with that Lucian. We talked a bit about him. I want to talk about Febivin specifically as a mid laner. You talked about Clutch, but still when I look at that roster, I wonder who is necessarily the leader, who is going to be the one to pull all these guys together and actually be the captain of the team like Hai has developed into.
Well, Febivin is actually a guy who I think will be that kind of person because I know a lot of people kind of have a somewhat negative perception of him after his time way back in 2015, 2016 with Fnatic and things like that. But he's actually turned into a big leader. I had a chance to talk with some of their coaching staff. They are very high on him and his ability to work with teammates. He has a big mental shift from where he was, all those years ago and deserves a lot more credit as an actual leader on teams.
All right, by the same token, Ole is the other target I'm looking at, Jad. Team Liquid looked crushing in their victory today over TSM. I mean, it's a super team. The money was poured into it, but it seems to be paying off already.
Day one worked amazingly for Team Liquid. That was the fastest game we've seen in Europe this week, in NA this week. They looked decisive, and it was up against who was supposed to be super stiff competition. They smashed them.
I mean, that's the thing. In the face of the competition that it was, makes the win all that much more impressive. That's going to about wrap it up for today. We've got more matches coming your way tomorrow. The broadcast starts at 1:30 PST. Mark your calendars with the NALCS Countdown, where we will review Day 1 and look towards our next 5 games. It starts with fearsome Team Liquid taking on Optic Gaming, followed by FlyQuest versus TSM, and 3 more games before we close out Week 1. Real close, or real quick rather, which of those series tomorrow are you most excited for?
Game 3, Afromu versus Old Team in CLG. 100 Thieves 1 looked very, very difficult, but here they get to see CLG coming off a loss. Hopefully they can find a way to bounce back.
Game 5, Echo Fox versus Clutch Gaming. One of those teams will be undefeated after this week.
That's pretty nuts to think about. Well, though every team will be aiming to end their weekend with a win, there's more at stake for Counterlogic Gaming. As Mark just mentioned, they face their former leader, Afromu, and his new team, 100 Thieves.
Off-season was pretty stressful since I'm no longer on CLG. I'm now 100 Thieves support. It was very difficult to leave CLG. Main reason was the people.
I think the thing that people might not realize is that when you have teammates in League of Legends, they're kind of like your closest friends.
We all thought we were gonna play again with each other, and stuff's happened. So yeah, like it hurts, but we have to move on.
Having been with Zach for so long, I would say he's definitely like one of my closest friends, and he's someone that led the team to victory in a lot of ways.
Now that I'm not playing with Afro, I'm still like really confident in myself to do well. I can kind of use the stuff he taught me to just go on by myself.
It kind of sucks that he's gone, and on top of that, I'm playing against him the first week, and obviously I want to beat him, but I see like Afromu and 100 Thieves jersey, and it just doesn't feel right.
I love those guys, and still gonna be friends with them throughout life, but I'm gonna have to kick their ass.
Kobe said it, you can change the players, but the faith remains with that roster. You're going to have some faith as CLG is looking to pick up their first win of the split, while 100 Thieves also looking to go undefeated 2-0 if they pick up that win tomorrow in this matchup.
I can't wait, right? 100 Thieves did not look super clean. CLG also didn't have the greatest draft today, but it is 100 Thieves coming in with the win, have a chance to go 2-0 after that first week. And whenever you have that one player who leaves their old team, it's always a tough match.
And if you're like Jat and you're optimistic on CLG, you did see some promising things. Reignover did take over the early game. Just in transition.
All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do it for day 1. So for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more NALCS. Good night.